Hey, so I want to ask you a question. What would you do if you woke up in a dark box and you had no memory of who you were or where you were or what was going on? And then you push the lid open. Wait, hold on. Hold on a second. So there's 9 other books I have to get through before we get to that one. So welcome to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the top 10 free science fiction and fantasy books on Amazon. Yes, free books. You can get them today. The list changes quickly, so grab them before they're gone. Because here at MetaStellar, we read each of those books every single Friday, so you can get your weekend reading. We don't read the whole book because that's too many books to read in one day. We usually just read the first few chapters, but it's typically enough to let us know whether the book is worth reading, and we can tell you all about it. So today, I was joined by several community members, Mary Stoll, Carla Nordlund, and Amira Lutfi. Unfortunately, none of them could make it today for today's taping. Hope to see you next week, guys. So for those who are new to the channel, we're an online magazine of speculative fiction. We published tons of original short stories, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews, such as the ones we publish on Fridays. And the full link to today's article is in the description box below. You can also pick up the best of the first year of MetaStellar at all the bookstores in both print and electronic form. Yay, we're so excited. Yeah, we've published like hundreds of short stories since we launched 2 years ago in the middle of the pandemic. And our next submission cycle starts October 1st. So if you're a sci-fi or fantasy writer, or you write horror, mark your calendar. Our submission window is opening up. It's very soon. Okay, we're able to do this thanks to the kind support of our Patreon contributors. Thanks, guys. So let's get to the book. Let's start with book number 10. You can see, there you go. You can see the cover right there. It's called The Inkwater Witch. It's by Atley Wykes. It's the first of 3 books in the Inkwater series of paranormal romance. The other books are $6 each, but they are all in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $10 a month and you read all the books you want. A lot of best-selling books are in Kindle Unlimited, including all the Harry Potter books. It's a really good deal if you read a lot. The 3rd book in the series isn't out yet. It's scheduled to be released next January, but you can pre-order it. So Amira Lutfi read this one, and she says she was immersed in this magical world from the very first page. And it's about Mardella, who's a young witch who lives in a swamp that's full of dangerous creatures. And right in the opening scene, she's harvesting berries in his territory and has to hide from this big monster. And she needs the herbs to create a life-saving medicine. So the monster and its mother attack her, and she defends herself by water bending, like in the style of Avatar. Amira says it's pretty cool. And it looks like the reason she's alone in a swamp is because when she first started learning magic, she killed her niece by accident. Oh my. And that's kind of a tragic beginning. So she's making her medicines, and there's a stranger who shows up in her hut. She tries to attack, but instead, the stranger knocks her over, and it turns out to be a super handsome man. And a man with a heart of gold. So it's an enemies to lovers romance. So Amira is guessing that these 2 guys are going to end up together. But despite all the romance and mushy stuff, she likes it. She's fully immersed in it. She likes how the setting is described, and she says it really makes her feel like she's in the swamp with the main character. and the magic system fits the book, so she says she's going to be back. All right, let's get into the next book, A Drop of Magic by Janna Ruth, the first of 3 books in the Ashwan Greed young adult paranormal romance series. The other books are $4 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. And the 3rd book is also not out yet. It will be released in November, and you can pre-order it. The author has been on this list before. So I do like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this is kind of that kind of book. It's set in a high school and there's magic. So maybe I like it. So I'm starting to read it, and it's about Lucille, whose father is really rich, and she's been at a boarding school that she hates. So she wants to go to school in her hometown where her dad owns half the town. So she wants to get closer to her dad, even though her annoying stepmother is in the way. So she decides that she's going to be going to the local high school, and this is her first day of class in this high school. And the book starts really slowly for me. So there's a lot of back and forth with her stepmother, and then she gets a necklace from her chauffeur that her grandmother had, and then the chauffeur drives her to school, and then she meets the kids from school, and she goes to classes, and there's a hot guy in her first class, but some of the girls are kind of annoying, and some of the girls are kind of naughty and cloying, and it's too much. It is too much. And then the next chapter, we switch to the point of view of one of the nerdy girls who's into magic. Turns out that magic is real in this town, but nobody else believes in it, including Lucille, the protagonist from the first chapter, except that Lucille accidentally does some magic. Maybe that necklace has something in it. Lucille freaks out. She doesn't want to do magic. She doesn't believe in it. So there's all this angst and stuff. So I am not a favor of whiny teenagers in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to pass on this book. But apparently a lot of people love this genre. And if you are one of them, the book is very readable. There's a reason it's on the bestseller list. It reads very easily. You can get into the characters. They're sympathetic. So yeah, except for the fact that I hate everything about this book, I recommend it if you like the genre. All right, next we have Roll for Initiative by Kevin Mclaughlin and Michael Anderle. The first of 3 books in the Tome of Malevolent Evil lit RPG series. The other books are $5 each, and they are in Kindle Unlimited. And the authors have been on this list before, especially Michael Anderle. He's like all over this list. I mean, he's on this list twice today. So stay tuned for that. So lit RPG is books set in a video game, like Tron or The Matrix or Ready Player One or the Jumanji movies. So I write these kind of books, but so there's a few different flavors of lit RPG. There's like the hardcore lit RPG, where once in a while you get a page full of stats, your dexterity, your strength, your charisma, whatever it is. And then there's the kind of lit RPG, which is, a little less of the statistics and stuff. They also call it game lit. That's the kind that I like more. This particular book has the stats. So once in a while, the author will give you a page of numbers and the scores that the characters have as they're moving along through the book. So the premise of the book is that 5 young people, I'm guessing they're in their 20s, get together to play a D&D style game. And the game is magic and sucks them in. And all of a sudden, they're really in this world where magic is real. So basically, it's Jumanji. If you've seen the latest Jumanji movies, you've got the premise for this book. So I do kind of like it. The world, the magical world, sucked them in because they needed their help. Why I needed the help of 4 random people from another universe, who knows? I guess we'll find out if we keep reading. It sucked me in. I was 9 chapters into it before I remembered I had other books to get to. So it's definitely readable. It's a little like watching somebody play a video game, but in book format. I like it. Like I said, it's my guilty pleasure. I love these kind of books. They tend to be very light on character development. The plot often doesn't make much sense. Just like with Jumanji, the plot makes no sense. It's just a fun ride, right? You're just watching people kill things. So it's just fun. I like it. I plan to be finishing it because this is the kind of book that I like to read. Okay, next we have Rainy Magic, Windy Roads. Yes, by Lena Abram, the first of 2 books in the Dominions fantasy series. The other book is $5, but it is not in Kindle Unlimited. So Leela is a travel blogger, and she has the magical ability to make a pocket universe. This is awesome. I love this beginning. So the thing that Leela hates most about travel is the fact that you can never find a bathroom when you need it, especially when you're in the middle of the woods somewhere. So she uses her secret magic power. She's not registered. Apparently people have to be registered in this world, although I guess they're not too strict about it. So she has this magical power where she can create a little magic universe to step into, and she basically has a bathroom in it and a shelf full of stuff so that she can grab stuff without having to carry it all with her when she travels. This is so cool. I would love to be a travel blogger and have a little magic pocket universe that I wear a necklace around my neck. It's just so cool. I love this premise. And apparently this ability to create a whole universe is a very rare gift. And there's only 32 registered mages in the world who have this creation magic. So she's in Japan on a trip writing about local landmarks and such like, and dealing with her website issues. When a news report comes out, Atlantis is real. They've been hiding it with magic, and the people of Atlantis are in trouble and they need a new place to live. And they're inviting people to come visit. So she immediately sends in her application. Of course, she's a travel blogger. This is like the travel destination of the century. So it is a cute story. The writing style is light and fun. And the Atlanteans have flying rocks and magical plants and other cool stuff. They have a mammoth. So I am interested in reading further. I do love the job. I love the premise. It's just a really fun book. Okay, next we have Beyond the Grave by R.W. Wallace, the first of 4 books in the Ghost Detective urban fantasy series. The other books are $5 each, and they are not in Kindle Unlimited. This is the second time the book has been on this list. We previously reviewed it back in January. So when I first read this book back in January, I loved the premise. It's set in France, which I enjoyed. And Emmeline Evian is a detective who's sent to Toulouse to look into the murders of young women because some old cases were misclassified as suicides because the police detectives were lazy. And when the book starts, she's exhuming the body of a woman who died in the 1980s. But the dead woman's ghost is still around, haunting the cemetery where her body is buried, unable to move on. And there's a second body buried right next to the woman, the police detective who originally did such a bad job investigating her case. And the police detective is also a ghost, and he also can't move on. So it's an atmospheric book. It's an unusual setting. I haven't read anything like this before, especially not set in France. So this was really good, and I loved it. And I fully expected to finish reading it that weekend, but I didn't. I got distracted and never came back to it. And then once you've been away from a book for a while, it's really hard to get back into it. So sorry, R.W. Wallace. Maybe I'll come back to it. I don't know. Okay. Next we have Subversion by Allyson Lindt. The first of 4 books in the Neon reverse harem paranormal romance series. The other books are $3 to $4 each, and they are not in Kindle Unlimited. So a reverse harem is where a woman has several boyfriends. Instead of having to choose between a werewolf and the vampire, she keeps both of them. So in theory, I like the idea. I mean, if you're reading fantasy, why not go all the way, right? But at the same time, when I read these books, I'm always like, oh, that sounds so complicated and messy and so much drama. The logistics of it just seem too cumbersome for even to think about. But some people like it. The protagonist is Dahlia, a geeky goth girl who spends her time hanging out in a burlesque club. She feels that she belongs there, even though she was originally raised as an assassin by the gods. Yes, so apparently the gods are worried about Ragnarok coming along. Specifically, the Ragnarok where a bunch of new gods show up and kill the old gods. The old gods do not want to be killed off. So they train a bunch of human assassins to kill any new gods that pop up before they get to be too powerful. And Dahlia is one of those people who's raised as an orphan and trained as an assassin to kill gods. And her particular expertise is digital espionage. And she was sent to kill one of these gods. She refused to kill her target, so they put a shoot on sight order on her. So she kind of retired and is now dancing in a burlesque club. The tone of the book reminds me a little bit of Laurel Hamilton's Anita Blake series, which is also reverse harem. Anita Blake is a vampire hunter. So, and here Dahlia is a god hunter, I guess. But it has that kind of similar snarky, kind of matter of fact, but like over the top sexy kind of tone to it. And okay, kind of sucked me in. But I'm not going to keep reading it because this is a spin-off series to Valkyrie's Legacy series. And that book, that whole series is in Kindle Unlimited. So I think I might go and read those books first and then come back to this one. So that's what I recommend that you do. If this premise intrigues you and you have Kindle Unlimited or you're willing to spend some money, read Valkyrie's Legacy first, and then come back and read this book. Or just jump into it. It's sexy good times. You know, why not? Then we have Shifter in the Swamp by Martha Carr and Michael Anderle. Yeah, Michael Anderle's back. This is the first of 8 books in the Academy of Necessary Magic young adult paranormal series. The other books are $5 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. The 2 authors have been on this list before. In July, we reviewed their book Magic Inc., the first of 8 books in the Evermore Chronicles, which is a cozy mystery series, and so on and so on and so forth. I mean, Martha Carr and Michael Anderle as a combo have had books on this list, and then Michael Anderle by himself and with other co-authors has been on this list. So I'm not a fan of young adult books, but I've liked several others of his books, and I love the cover. The main character looks pretty kick-ass, and it lived up to its cover. So Amanda is 12 years old, and she's in a dorm room, daydreaming, or not really daydreaming, fantasizing about crossbows, hunting knives, and airboats, because this place is, she kind of guess she grew up in a swamp. She's 12, she's a shapeshifter, and she's looking forward to her class the next day. She's starting combat training. And the school she's at is a bounty hunter school, a magical bounty hunter school. An official name? the Academy of Necessary Magic. And everyone there is magical, but she's the only shapeshifter. So it's the middle of the night, and with her magical hearing, superhuman hearing, she hears footsteps, and it's the school principal bringing a new student. And the new student's also magical. She got kicked out of her previous magic school, and Amanda sneaks out of room to find out more. And the new girl kicked out after she blew up her old school's power generator. So I love this premise. I love the main characters here. I love the tone of this, and the style is upbeat, it's kind of action focused, not very like self-pitying and whiny, nothing like that. I really like it. But I was getting the sense that there's a little bit more to the backstory. The authors keep mentioning other people as if like I would know them. So I looked it up. It took a little work to find this out. But apparently Amanda was first introduced in a book called Go Dwarf Yourself, which was the first book in the 12-book Dwarf Bounty Hunter series by the same authors. And I really like the style of this book. And the other series is in Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to read those books first. So I now have like a ton of books to read on my plate. But somehow I'm sure I'll manage. Next, we have Song at Dawn by Gill, the first of 4 books in the Troubadours historical romance series. The other books are $1 to $3 each, and they are not in Kindle Unlimited. And Carla Nordlund read this book. And she thinks it's historical romance and doesn't seem to have any science fiction or fantasy in it so far that she's been able to read. And sometimes books do get miscategorized in the wrong genre. But Carla, both as a reader and as an editor, loves historical romance. So she was like really getting into this. So what's happening is that a young woman wakes up in a ditch alongside a road in Provence in early April. And there's a large white dog near her. And she's running away from home, and she's carrying a precious package. And she's overtaken by a traveling party, that of Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of France. They think that maybe she's a thief or bait for a group of bandits. And they demand that she open the bundle she's carrying, and she does. And there's a beautiful and intricate mandora, which is a musical instrument. And she plays a song on it to prove that she didn't steal it. And so they invite her to join the company. So basically to keep an eye on her. There's a little bit of a student-teacher romance, because one of the other people in accompanying the queen is a famous troubadour. And Carla says she's curious to see how this aspect of the story is going to be handled. But she likes the setting, and she says the characters are intriguing. And so she says she's going to keep on reading. And she says that the dialogue's really wonderful. And there's a little nuances, shifts in names and diction that give special emphasis. And she says it's these little nuances that make all the difference in historical fiction. She thinks this is going to be a very enjoyable book. All right, next we have The Trials of the Core by Michael Thies, the first of 3 books in the Guardian of the Core fantasy series. The other books are $4 to $5 each, and they are not in the Kindle Unlimited. So it's set in a world called Gladius, and if Gladius ceases to exist, so does the rest of the universe. So there's a guardian of Gladius who's been protecting it for 200 years, and his time is coming to an end. And so they're going to hold trials to pick a new guardian. And out of tens of thousands of potential candidates, they've picked 10 people who are going to participate in these trials. So that's the prologue of the book. And then we start in with some characters. The first person we meet is Prince Hydro, whose skills with traditional weapons aren't up to his trainer's expectations, but he's able to redeem himself with his command and his endurance using his elemental power. So people have elemental powers in this story. Mary Stoll read this one. I think I forgot to mention this. He's really trying to impress his mother, but she barely even looks at him during the training, and there seems to be a little bit of strain in their relationship. Then we move on to Eric, who's an orphan, and he's delivering sandals to a noblewoman, and she's also ignoring him because she's busy planning a birthday party. But he gets her attention, and she pays him, and she makes a comment about him not being able to cast any magic. And when he's on his way home, he tries to access the elemental powers, but he's unable to. So, which is a problem because he sent in his application for the trials 2 years ago. But when he gets home, there's an invitation there. He's been invited, and his adoptive family encourages him and is really supportive, although they don't know why he was selected either, because he doesn't have these magical skills. Mary says that the book's pacing is good and the characters are interesting. And the introduction of the book says that this is a perfect sci-fi fantasy story for those who love Game of Thrones, Hunger Games, and Aragon. And Mary says that this must be true because she is a fan of those stories, and she's looking forward to reading the rest of this book. Oh, and now we get to the #1 book on today's science fiction and fantasy bestseller list on Amazon. The free science fiction and fantasy bestseller list, not the one that costs money, because who wants to spend money? Okay, so the story is called Al Clark, and it's by Jonathan Meyer. It's the first of 5 books in the Al Clark Sci-Fi series. The other books are $5 each, and the series is not in Kindle Unlimited, so you will have to pay money for it. I do love hard sci-fi, though, and this book is billed as one of those books where people go and settle a new planet. I love that genre, so I'm very optimistic about this book. So the story starts up with a guy waking up in a box, not much larger than his body, only a little bit of light coming in through a pinhole above his head. And there's an alarm going off somewhere. So he's a little freaking out, okay? But he pushes up and the lid opens. Oh, what a relief. And he climbs down to this tiny gray room, and he finds the alarm and turns it off. He sees that he's wearing a uniform that he doesn't recognize. He can't remember his name. He doesn't know where he is. He gets the door open and starts wandering around. Finally finds like a window to the outside, and he's up in space. And there's gravity, so he must be in a space station that's rotating. And he still has no idea where he is or what he's doing. But on the room where he was in that box, there's a name on the door, and the name is Al Clark. So he figures he must be Al. So he finds food and water and battery chargers, but there's like nobody else there at all. And he can't figure out where the people are, why he can't find a single working computer. It reminds me a little bit of the opening of Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which I loved. So the style is kind of similar, very matter of fact, but suspenseful. And I really liked it, and I think I'm going to stick with it. So there you go. There's the top 10 books on today's free science fiction and fantasy list on Amazon. So if you're looking for something to read this weekend, you've got plenty of choices. And if you like this kind of content and you don't want to miss every Friday's episode so that you can get your reading for the weekend, subscribe, hit the alarm button. You can also support us on Patreon. Your support helps us pay for original fiction. Thank you, everybody who supports us. Your generosity is awesome. You can also support us by buying our merch, like our t-shirts or the book. All the links are in the description box below. I'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Have a great time reading.